Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, multiple taxation is a challenge in this country. It stems from federal to even the local government level. Recently, the Security and Exchange Commission had an engagement with stakeholders in the economy looking at this very critical issue. So we'd like to know from you, what are the core issues in multiple taxation? And also, how can individuals and companies navigate through this whole situation?
Multiple taxation has been a big problem in Nigeria since I started practicing tax, which is now so many years back. This has always been an issue. So everybody talks about it. Nobody seems to be doing anything tangible about it, unfortunately. And I think the root cause of the problem is our constitution. So on one hand, Nigeria is a federal state. And fiscal federalism actually requires that each of the states, each of the constituents of that federal body should have some taxing powers, which means Lagos State, Kebbi State, Kano State, Rivers State should have powers to impose some taxes. And also you have some taxes that are federal. Add on top of that, we have local government, there's 774 of them. They should also have some taxing powers. Now, we know that if you let this to be a loose end, it will be chaotic. So in the process, we try to harmonize a lot of things. Something like personal income tax is a state tax, but the law is made centrally. Even value-added tax is a state tax, but the collection is done centrally by the Federal Revenue Service, and then the money is shared to states and local government, and FRS keeps a percentage of it as their own cost of collection. But the truth of the matter is, no matter how you look at it, the fact is we just pay too many taxes in Nigeria. There was a time the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria invited me to join them on a project, and they found out in one of the states in Nigeria they were paying up to 197 different taxes, all manner of taxes, from environmental tax to road tax to transport tax to, it's unbelievable. Now, we then commissioned a project which National Economic Council approved, and the Joint Tax Board was supposed to help to harmonize the taxes. If the taxes look too similar, if something is to do with pollution, another one is to do with environment, why don't you just consolidate it and call it one name? That way, you minimize the leakages, because the more the taxes you ask people to pay, the more the avenue for leakages, because they don't even know what they need to pay anymore. It's too confusing. Now, unfortunately, that project ended up at a time when the approved list of taxes was a little over 30-something. It came out at 61, because all the states insisted that whatever you do in consolidating the taxes, make sure that my own tax appears in the final list. So we haven't made any progress. Now, we need to address this fundamentally from the Constitution. And one of the things that I've suggested in the past is we can put it in the Constitution that says we recognize that every state has the power to levy taxes. But whatever taxes you want to levy, you must not have more than a certain number of taxes. Maybe the law will say not more than 5, not more than 7. So which means if one state decides that they want to have consumption tax and they already have 7 taxes, they must repeal 1. At the end of the day, if you do that, you provide some clarity. From the people's point of view and businesses, the way to deal with it is first to get a very good understanding. You need to understand what taxes you need to pay legitimately, so that when people come to you, first you'll be able to check whether, based on the law, you're even liable. If you're not liable to the tax, you send them back and you object to it. And then the other one is to try and do some tax planning, because at the end of the day, whether you agree with the law or not, if there's a law in place, you have to comply. So the way to deal with it is not to ignore the taxes, is to try and do your tax planning, and where possible, the organized private sector and taxpayers must come together to put pressure on government to reform the tax system. If you look at the ease of paying taxes today, Nigeria ranks 181 out of 189 economies. So, which is not good for a country where we so much need tax revenue to run this economy. So, multiple taxation has been a problem. It continues to be a problem, but it has to be dealt with. It's not rocket science. It can be done. Some of the countries where they have the highest tax to GDP ratio in the world have less than 10 different taxes that people pay. Whereas for us, they run into tens, if not hundreds, and yet we don't collect enough money. When you harmonize those taxes and you deal with multiple taxation, what happens is people pay less and government collects more because you deal with inefficiencies and leakages and corruption in the process.